How you doing?
That was fun. That was good.
Well, we're doing the intro now.
Oh.
Welcome to Roll Credits, guys.
Well, that was amazing.
We
Thanks, Joe, guys,
totally,
and I'll see you
yes.
next week where we review probably a
Yeah,
movie.
we're definitely doing this intro before the actual episode. Welcome to Roll Credits. My name is Lucas. I'm your host. Marsh couldn't be with us today, so I brought on my friend Gavin. Gavin, how you doing?
Oh, fantastic, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Now, Gavin's one of two people who's actually been keeping in touch with this show, so I felt like, he would provide a pretty cool perspective on each of the movies that we're doing. And I just want to hear more about sort of, like your background, who you are, and I guess just a favorite memory from this summer.
Okay. So I'm a lifelong friend of Lucas. We've been in the same crew for what did we discover it to be like 13, 14 years or something like that?
Pretty much, like, we've all known each other for like 15 years, effectively, give or take.
It's been a long road.
It's been too long. I'm waiting
uh,
for retirement.
yeah, way too long. I think we could just retire that. But no,
Yeah.
I went to university. I have a bachelor's in science and business administration, with a focus in supply chain. No true background in film and media production, but that doesn't stop me from enjoying a good sit down film.
He's a
And
good storyteller.
originally, um I was asking to be on the show to review possibly video game movies in specific. But then Lucas reached out and said, we would love to have you on. And of course, I watch almost exclusively Spotify on a podcast. Like to put it on for long drives. But I'm super glad to be here and excited. And my funny story that I don't believe Lucas has heard yet. So I was recently in a wedding, or I was invited to a wedding. So it was me, my family, my girlfriend, and we went, and we're all sitting there, and then all of a sudden the music starts going, and they're playing like oldies. They're starting to play like Footloose, and I know I got to get up there on the floor for Footloose. So I drop everything, I get up there, and I start dancing, trying to get my dad up there to dance. And all of a sudden, this woman comes over to me, and she's obviously plastered out of her mind. And
She had
for
one White
reference,
Claw.
she's probably like 70s going on 80s.
So she's
Like
old enough to
an
run for
old,
president.
yes, an old, yeah, an older woman. And she goes, "Who are you here with?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, nobody."
Oh
Uh,
no.
and she's like, "Oh, but you're so freaking cute."
Oh no. That was
And I'm
his
like, "Oh,"
aunt.
I was like, "Oh, thanks." And then she's like, "Oh, there's my son over there." And this guy could be my father. This guy is like some old gruff dude, and he's obviously sitting there like he's seen this too many times, and he's not very phazed by it.
Mom's
So
flirting all the time.
very, very interesting to go through that with my girlfriend present.
Dude, yeah, did she get jealous?
And no, no.
I mean the
It's,
old lady.
my
No.
whole family was. Oh, the old lady. Yeah. The old lady was. She was all trying to find a man that night.
Very
But
grabsy. Well, we'll get her on the show. We'll set her up on a blind dating.
oh, blind date with Marsh.
No. Yeah, he could take her
That's
to
it.
a.
That's what he gets for not being here tonight. That's what he
Yes,
gets.
Marsh's
That's what he-
punishment for not being on this episode.
Come on,
He has to go out with
come
the
on in.
70-year-old.
Come on in, Cheryl. Yeah.
Cheryl. Yes, they could go to Cracker Barrel together. She could buy him the senior breakfast discount.
For legal reasons, Cheryl's not her actual name.
Yes, on the record. So when I was getting ready to move, I was still up near my university, still up near Penn State during the summer. Now I have a buddy who interned at NASA, so this guy's a bit of a brainiac. He has opinions on airport carpeting. He's from Portland. What can you really say about him? And I go into the apartment. This man makes like $90,000 a month. I don't know. He makes a lot of money, and he's such a Scrooge. He's such a miser. Like he'll go out to like a store and complain about the price of ramen, even though he could buy my house. And
He's one of those guys that get mad when they don't give you the ketchup packet when you
yes,
go to McDonald's.
get me the El Diablo sauce at Taco Bell. So this guy decides he's gonna buy a portable washer because he buys his new apartment, doesn't have a view, has one window, brick wall, and he doesn't want to spend like the $5 a week on like the washer. So he buys his portable washer off of Amazon. I did the math; it saves like $50, and he washes his clothes in this thing. He shows me like the dryer section because it's a twofer. It's like a washer and a dryer. Now in the dryer, that's like a very small, like it's like a quarter of the size of the washer. So the clothing is just getting like spun around. It's not actually getting dry. So I look over and I notice his microwave's on the floor. I'm not really sure what's going on. The microwave finishes like going. He opens it, pulls out a pair of jeans. I'm like, what are you doing there, bud?
He was drying his clothes
He
in the
was
microwave.
drying his clothes in the microwave. He puts his jeans in like a bowl that you use for like popcorn, and he puts it in the microwave. And his roommates have no idea. Like he was doing this for like a week, and
That's innovative.
it was disgusting, dude. Their microwave has never been washed. So it's like and they were there for 2 years. So it's 2 years
So
of
the
like,
jeans are gonna smell like freaking like soup.
yes, and like soup and like beef. And he also opens the
Like,
fridge. He shows me there's like 50 newspapers in the freezer. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, it's to soak up all the stench from the spilled beef. I'm like, what are you doing?
oh man. Oh man. Just thinking back to when I was in school and what my roommates used the freaking microwave for. Jesus Lord. That thing that's one of the common like household appliances that you just kind of forget about and you're like, "Oh, I don't got to wash the microwave." Oh, you do.
No, literally.
You
I
do.
think
Yeah,
I
like
washed it twice. Yeah.
I could only imagine what those jeans had to smell like.
Man, we should. I hope he's still wearing them. I don't think it's. We're reviewing a movie today that's pretty terrifying. I don't think anything's gonna be as terrifying as that, though.
I know. I'm kind of shaking in my boots right now.
All right, so today we are talking about the 2000 movie Requiem for a Dream. Today with me, I have very talented filmmaker and friend Allie Wallace joining us. Welcome, Allie.
Hi, thank you.
We also have Gavin Stone, a very good childhood friend of mine, also a very talented actor as well. Gavin?
Hey, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, so I wanted to kick things off. This is a very fascinating movie to me. I don't even know how I remember getting involved with it. I just remember watching it earlier this year, just completely blind. And it just struck me in such a profound way because I've never seen a movie quite like this. So when I was getting ready for this episode, I reached out to these two because Gavin's never seen it. I don't think many people from our generation's really familiar with it. And I know Allie has seen it and she rated it very highly. But in talking to her, she said that her opinion on it has changed. I'm curious to know sort of what the rewatch and first impression was like.
Yeah. My first impression of it before I ever rewatched it was when I was 18. And I think I was just getting into just stuff that seemed a little bit weirder, less mainstream. And I think my mom had mentioned it just in passing. And so that's how I found it. And I didn't think it would be the way that it was. The ending caught me so off guard. But I loved it. I thought that it was unlike anything I had seen before, and it still is unlike anything I'd seen. Um, but I think my opinion has changed a little bit just in terms of kind of the way that we tell stories and who's telling them. Um, and
Yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense.
So
I totally dealt with the same issue myself. Just like, I think it was on Amazon Prime I saw it and I said, okay, yeah, sure, I'll watch this. And I was just blown away by it. I've never seen a film that used the editing in the way that this film did.
yeah, definitely. The editing is incredibly unique, and I feel like the editing and the cinematography together just create this intense experience for the viewer, and it's just so immersive. I feel like I really struggle to find movies that are this immersive,
No, yeah.
because it's what I want. I mean, I want to feel what the characters are feeling and experience it with them, but this one, it really brought you as close as you possibly could through the film medium.
And Gavin, you've never seen a film like this before.
I certainly have not. Going into this, not having any clue of what this movie is, I didn't look up any reviews. I didn't look up of what type of movie it was. I just sat down on my couch and turned on the TV, and
On the
then
living room.
uh,
Yeah.
almost almost immediately felt unnerved and unsettled. So
Nice.
it was a combination of the score and the music that kind of started to push you into that kind of, you might feel like something's building, something's happening. The characters help with that. Definitely seeing the relationships between the Sarah Goldfarb and her son Harry. It was um, just very interesting to see the psychological impacts of like addiction and how that slowly becomes more prevalent as it goes on, and you start to realize, oh, okay, we're going down this road right now.
And that's something that I feel like spoke to me personally because as we've been watching movies on this podcast, I tend to rate movies higher that I have a personal relationship with. And for me, as someone who has struggled with addiction, now granted it's nowhere near to the extent that these characters deal with, but the emotions are still there. I was very moved by that. I was moved by, the elements of drug addiction, of body appearance, of sex addiction, of constantly the sort of the ramifications of those issues, and I felt like that was a reason why this movie really spoke to me.
Yeah, this movie, I will say, once I turned off my TV, I kind of just stared at the ceiling for a little bit, and I was like, what did I just watch?
What is
Like,
this? Yeah.
I was like, what a downer. Um, I'm so used to movies nowadays that they don't get into that kind of like super deep mental aspect of things as much, or at least the movies that I watch are a lot of flashing colors and action movies. Um, so it was a good movie. I could see why it's highly rated, and I'm interested to see where else the conversation goes.
I agree that a lot of movies today don't do what this one did, in terms of like getting into the psychology of what makes a person like this do the things that they do. Um, Especially because addiction is such a taboo. It's like, oh, it's the person's fault or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do think that this movie highlights the ways that people are victims of their situation and that addiction is a crutch. Um, and I feel like a lot of movies now that kind of are trying to tackle mental health do it in a very, I don't know, like surface level way. Whereas this one, it definitely goes much deeper. So yeah, I definitely think that that sets it apart from things that are being made today.
And I think it was also ahead of its time too in the fact that it does explore body image because
Mm.
that, especially culturally in the 2000s, that was something that was pressed by the mainstream. You even watch early episodes of American Idol and you'll hear some of the feedback from the judges are, "Oh, you've got a great singing voice, but you don't have the body of a superstar." And that's being pushed even more so today through social media. So I have never seen that directly tackled in a film until I saw this.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree, and I think it is interesting the way that he portrays Sarah. She's my favorite character in this. I mean, favorite is like a weird. It's hard to say anybody's your
Yeah.
favorite, but it's she's one of the most fascinating characters I've ever seen in a movie, and I think about her all the time. I really do, um, because I feel like I know her. I feel like I know women like her.
Yeah.
I feel like I grew up with women like her. I feel like to some extent I am her. And um, it is a very uniquely, I mean, there were a lot of people that were not just women dealing with the effects of like these types of diet pills back then. But I mean, it was targeted towards women, especially older women. And so I just feel like it is a very uniquely female experience, and that she channels it really well. Um, and it is it's just so different from the other three and how
It
like the
is.
things that they're going through. Like you don't even see Marion dealing with anything similar because it's she is still young and in her prime, and it's kind of like you know Sarah isn't, and it kind of is like this thing that inevitably will happen to all of us, and how are we going to choose to deal with it? And she chose to deal with it that way.
I think one of the most touching scenes because I've certainly struggled with being in my own head with how people perceive me, are people my friends. I think one of the most interesting parts about this film is how there is a unreliable narrator in a sense when it comes to the perspective. When it comes to Sarah, she dismisses her friends, she saying that they don't actually care for her when Harry comes to visit. And later on, we see the objective reality when she's taken to the hospital, when she is, you know, after her electroshock therapy, her friends weep for her. And I think that isolationist perspective, which is even easier to feel these days through the digital age, through social media, it was it's still relevant to this day.
Yeah, I agree. And I also feel like the the way that the camera channels those perspectives, those dual perspectives,
Yeah.
throughout the course of the film is really interesting because, again, like we kind of are in all of their heads for a long time. We're seeing the romanticization of it, and we're seeing, her dreams, and we're seeing them want to pursue their dreams, and then slowly towards the end, you get that kind of like flip back and forth between what's going on in her head, what's going on in like the doctor's heads, what's going on in Harry's head, what's going on in the real world, and you kind of just can never really tell if what you're seeing is real because they don't know either.
Yeah. How do we feel about the other characters?
So for Tyrone, I feel like he was a character that was a little slightly overlooked. There's still many scenes with him in it and him struggling with his own fear of disappointing his mother, or from what I can see,
Yeah.
he feels like he's not living up to what his mom dreamed for him. And you see it in the bedroom scenes where he's just kind of sitting there looking at the photo. And that's a very deep uh, conversation that we could have about, what drives you to begin doing some sort of addictive thing to escape reality sometimes.
Mm.
And utterly, you see it in other characters such as Harry, of where you're kind of pushing away loved ones, and who pushing away your mom is probably one of the hardest tolls. So I really like Tyrone as a character, and I wish we got to see a little bit more of him throughout the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked him.
It's definitely a struggle because thinking back, I mean, a lot of it I think is behavioral too. I think about the worst social media usage I've had, and I still struggle with it, where I go out for a long day, I'm constantly working, constantly meeting people. Then at the end of the day, I go home and I feel lonely. I feel very alone. Oh, well, let's go on social media. Let's have that sort of numb whatever loneliness I'm feeling. And I think part of that can be separation that he feels, whether or not she's still alive, or if he's chosen to go a different path from her, which is up for interpretation. I think that's really cool how we can kind of imagine what his backstory is. It's not really spelled out for us, but from a sort of going back on your point, Gavin, about addiction, I would say a lot of it is jealousy. I don't know if that's per se the exact cause of addiction, but in my own experience, I have found that my use of, substances or social media, that has been caused by me trying to fill some sort of greater hole in my heart, a desire for a genuine connection and love. And I think, the ending of this film brilliantly wraps that up when it comes to uh, Sarah's daydream about seeing her son well off and happy with her when she's surrounded by people who are expressing love. And that to me, this is a story, this type of story where a character is chasing after love but through the wrong means. That's a type of story that I like to tell.
Yeah, I really resonate with that. And I think that anybody who's dealt with addiction probably does. I mean, you don't even have to deal with addiction in order
Yeah.
to resonate with that. Again, like things like social media are addiction, shopping is an addiction. Um, and I just feel like I think the only thing that I guess I think I just question sometimes whether Aronofsky was kind of the right person to tell this story.
Yeah.
Um, and I still think that he pulled it off pretty well. I just, I did some research into his background and things, and as far as I can tell, he doesn't come from any situations that are even remotely similar to the characters.
Yeah.
Um, and not that you have to in order to write those things, but I just feel like to some extent it feels a little bit like a caricature of these types of people. Um, and that's why I say that Sarah feels so real to me, because of all of them, I really feel that she is real. But the rest of them, I sometimes just question whether, like, what his sorry, I kind of like
Yeah,
lost
what the
my train of thought.
intentions are. Harry is definitely
Yeah.
a caricature of, the type of character you'd see on The Wire or The Sopranos. There's no new
Yeah.
surprises with him.
Yeah, and I just feel like, especially like Marion, it feels like he was able to write kind of two types of women,
Yeah.
and this is kind of a thing in a lot of his movies, so far that I've seen. But it feels like he knows how to write either young women who take advantage of their sexuality in a way that mostly benefits men, or older women who are kind of washed up and lonely. And in that sense, those characters become characters of themselves and of real people who deal with these issues.
Yeah.
And it just kind of feels like, why does somebody like Marianne have to, I don't know, go down specifically
The sexual
a
route.
sexual route? I mean, it is very realistic, I will say, like, it happens to people.
Yeah.
But I guess I wonder why Harry didn't, or Tyrone didn't. Um, and it just seems to be a common theme with him, and so I guess that was my only big criticism of that.
Yeah, I haven't seen really much of his other film work. I've seen The Whale, which I thought was pretty good. I want to see Pie, and I know he's got a new one coming up that's a bit more populist in flavor. But you definitely get the sense that these types of films where these types of characters are very prominent back around the 1990s, 2000s. I don't think a film like this could be made today in terms of, would it sell? I don't think it's original enough from like a character perspective to sell. Now the presentation of it is very original. The voice that is presented in its editing and its acting and its talent, very original. But to your point, yeah, it definitely feels like it's playing on the genre.
Yeah, yeah.
Were there any specific moments in this film that you feel like stand out distinctly to it? Like anything that made you go, whoa? Because I remember the first time I saw the split screen,
I
I was,
do.
yeah.
I do have a couple, and I think in me viewing it, these were the most impactful moments in the movie for me, and each character had
Oh,
one
that's good.
specific moment. Um, so for Sarah, it was when she was confiding to Harry in the kitchen, saying, her husband passed away. Harry's gone. Why does she even move on anymore? Why does
Ooh.
she continue to wash dishes and make food? There's nobody to take care of, so why should she?
Yep.
Other than the need to move on.
Yeah.
So I felt like that was very impactful for her character and could resonate a lot with people suffering from loneliness. And it's a horrible thing. And you could see it like when she's trying to get her friends to like her because she's going on TV. It's going to be the new big thing. But that was a very emotional point for me watching. Um, for Marion, I think one of the most impactful things that I saw was once Harry wrote the number on the back of their photo together, and you could see her looking at the photo of them together, and then ultimately flipping back to that phone number to give it a call. That um, that had just so much symbolism in it for their relationship and their relationship with drugs, and that really moved me. And then I mentioned it earlier with Tyrone when he was looking at the photo with his mother, and I think that was just a big catalyst for him as a character.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
especially agree with the one with Marion, because I feel like, it's such a simple way to show her choosing one thing over another, and just the complete like downfall of her character from then on.
How about the fridge scene?
Freaky. What it got teeth?
Scariest scene.
the, the the fridge that kind of confused me after a point. Like I
Yeah.
understand that like originally the addiction to the prescription drugs and stuff was to stop her from eating,
Yeah.
right? And it's to like null that addiction with another addiction. Um, so like I understand it, but then eventually with the TV going all around her and the TV becoming, and when she finally loses it, uh, the fridge constantly like waking her up in a sense. I felt was like impactful in a way that like it is kind of her subconscious telling her like you gotta eat, or you got like for your human self you have to sustain yourself and actually eat food, and you can't just keep taking the pills over and over and over again. So it freaked me out,
And
but
it's also villainized too. Like it becomes this character. The sharp teeth
it
makes it
is.
scary. And then there's the arm. Dude waking up in
Oh
the
my god, the
hospital.
arm.
Oh man, like it's not John Carpenter, but just seeing the arm constantly get abused, it's like, oh, I don't want to see that. Like within itself, he kind of becomes like a horror monster.
Yeah.
Um, so overall, this movie, I feel like it speaks to me personally for the reasons I mentioned before, with like having a bit of an obsessive, addictive personality, as well as, just generally gravitating towards crime related movies in general. I think there's something really profound about not just reading or hearing about bad, dangerous stories, but also experiencing them. That's why the visual medium is so intense. It's the equivalent of going to a haunted house. You're experiencing the fear without actually experiencing it. How would you guys sort of, I guess, summarize your experience watching this?
So I was reading through some of the um, comments on IMDb for Requiem and some of the ratings, and one from Eric226 really stuck with me. It was in his second paragraph. He said, "I wish everyone I care about would see Requiem for a Dream, not because that they'll like it or that it's going to teach them anything they didn't already know, but it's a rare piece of work that is going to challenge your mentality on addiction." And I think that really speaks volumes for this movie, that people understand like it's not one that you're gonna drop everything for and go see at the movie theater with a bucket of popcorn 6 times, but
Yum.
it's an essential movie that needed to happen, and I think that's what makes it very powerful.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that it is incredibly powerful, and I've been telling people, you should watch this once, I think. Once is, I think, plenty.
How do you think I felt? I had to
But
rewatch it for this.
yeah, I know, and that's the thing. I remember when you asked me, I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna have to rewatch that." But like,
Oh boy.
it was worth it because I was able to kind of like I wrote down a lot of my thoughts prior to it, and then was able to compare. It's also just like how my thoughts have changed over time and
Yeah.
through, um, becoming a filmmaker too. Since I first saw it, and I feel like if anything, just it's a very inspiring movie. Um, Creatively, I don't know about in any other ways, like not spiritually really, but um creatively, it was incredibly inspiring for me because I realized that you can do that. You can do
Yeah.
that with the film medium. You can do these split frames and show more than one character at one time and not just cut away every time, or, show what they're thinking about by cutting, right to it, or, have these wide angles that just are so unsettling. And attaching the camera to Marion was so interesting to me, and it's something that you see a lot more now in music videos. Um, but it's something that, like, you're with her through her darkest moment, just walking around and dealing with these creeps and stuff, and I think it just got me very into cinematography in a way that I wasn't before.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, how are we feeling about this? What would we rate it?
Out of 10,
Out of 5.
out of 5, okay. Originally gave it a 4, but I would lower it just a little bit to like a 3.5.
Yeah, I feel like I originally gave it a 5. I'm thinking more so now like 4.5, just because kind of like revisiting a lot of the novelty and freshness of the presentation wears off, and you sort of start to see, oh, the archetypal drug addict, the archetypal, sex slave.
Yeah. I think also just like part of what lowered the score for me is just kind of this voyeurism, it feels like, and just like overindulgence of like misery, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's true.
Like, I'm not saying that these types of stories have no place and that you have to have the positive spin at the end. I'm just saying it feels like I don't really know what more I'm supposed to get out of it other than, damn, I'm never gonna do heroin. Um, so I guess I'm just looking for something more, and that one thing is missing, and that's where it lowers the score.
Yeah, Loki. I don't think I would do heroin after this movie. But
Yeah, yeah.
okay, here it is. I've said a lot of good things about this movie, I feel, but I'm gonna give it a 2.
Oh,
Now, my reasoning
yes.
being, it came from a book, right? It came from a book, and I think that's where it should have stayed. I think
Mm.
this movie could have portrayed everything that it needed to within that book, and it could have been one of the like legends that people read about in like schools and things like that. But uh, personally, when I go to see a movie, I don't want to be Debbie Downered and thinking about all, as Ali put it earlier, misery. I don't know. So
That's fair, yeah.
I think the book fantastic, but the movie maybe not so much.
So what
Yeah,
I'm
I
hearing
mean,
is, Gavin, I got to take you down to Skid Row. That's what I'm hearing. We're gonna go take a trip down there. I'll
I'm
introduce you
good.
to my
I'm
friend
good.
Kyle. Yeah, he's really good at sharpening the needle.
Oh, tighten the belt.
Yeah, it's a bring your own
I
belt. It's BYOB.
okay. Oh man. But I think what I took away from this movie is everybody wants to fit in that red dress. I mean, come on.
That's
Like
true. I
that.
mean, I want to wear it.
Like once we get that zipper all the way up, life's good.
What is
no, you're
juice?
you're totally right though.
What is juice? I still don't know what juice is.
What is
Juice?
juice?
That's what he was selling. It was 1-800-JUICE. That's what the game show was.
Uh,
That's what she was on television for. She was selling juice.
oh, that
Oh, that's true.
honestly, that TV show, I don't know what they were doing. I was more interested in all the people in the background, in the crowd, like
Mmm.
looking at all their faces and stuff. Uh,
Fair
couldn't
enough.
couldn't tell you what the actual
Yeah,
show was or why.
maybe that's the point though. You're not supposed to know, because then it's like she probably doesn't even know. She's just fantasizing about being there.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a show. I think it's just like her delusions. Like she probably saw
Yeah.
some infomercial. Because isn't there like a flash? Like it's framed as a show, but then we see a flash of like the 1-800 number. I think she just like started thinking a
Oh yeah.
commercial is a show.
Oh yeah. I think it might be an infomercial. I don't know.
We love unreliable narrators and delusional old people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Sort of looking at the list, I feel like this film, we're going to position it above Come and See under Good Will Hunting. That's all for this week. I want to thank Allie for joining us. Gavin, welcome aboard, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lucas.
So long, guys.
Bye.